Let's see. We got the December 2nd edition. December 2nd, 2022 of the SMT podcast. I don't need my headphones anymore. We already did the screening. We're good. Audio seemed fine to me. Let me know if I need to address anything else before we, get going with all the things today. Let's see here. What's on our to-do list to cover? We got the Twitter and Elon Musk story. He's considering making a smartphone alternative. All right, so does that mean an actual smartphone? Does that mean an operating system plus a smartphone? Or smartphone plus an operating system? Obviously, he could always do it with Android. It's open source. That'd probably be the best option. Or if he wants to start from scratch, which is like trying to climb a mountain, that's tough to do. All right, so make sure you vote in tonight's poll. I structured it so to try to cover everybody's opinion, possibly. Elon Musk and Twitter, a potential phone and operating system. What do you think of that? And he could always brand the phone through Twitter. He could call it the Twitter phone. Do you want to count me out, meaning you're not interested? Count me in, you are interested. Or are you in the camp of we need another competitor for like Android and iOS? Because we don't have BlackBerry anymore. We don't have any other options, really. No Palm, no Windows Phone. Or are you are you on the side, Elon is slimy, less of him is better? Tell you what, guys, I'm not a huge fan of Elon, but for different reasons. I'm still kind of bummed out about the whole Starlink SpaceX thing. He's also really political, which is not really my I like business. I don't really like politics. I also feel that politics forces you to, in most instances, put yourself in a box and have to be on a side. Instead of being on the side of the correct, you have to choose left or right or blue or red or conservative, progressive. Instead of analyzing and actually independently making decisions, you force yourself to be put into a label or a title based on some self-prophesized political affiliation. I think that's the worst thing you could do to yourself. You hamstring yourself. And, I just don't do politics, man. I mean, policy is important, but politics, the way that it's composed in the public and the way that people argue about it, it's toxic. All right, so he's a little too political for me, but I respect his acumen as a businessman. I don't think it's undeniable, but I would like to gauge your interest in this. It's a good topic. So we're going to look at the story and then we'll talk about the components of it. We're also going to be looking at 6G. Yes, 6G. It's nuts. What else are we going to talk about today? 5G and how it won't get great until it gets indoors. And not just like indoors as in like your house, but like indoors, like indoor DAS. Indoor millimeter wave and repeaters and stuff like that. Also, we got a Boost Mobile story. It doesn't typically make the show. We'll be talking about that. They are expanding their footprint in a very unusual way. Let's just put it this way. You can get yourself a Slurpee and Boost Mobile service. Boost Mobile service. T-Mobile's got some IoT stuff going on. We won't talk too much about that, but it's more of an update. And then the T-Mobile stuff about the licenses today, which is kind of annoying. T-Mobile customers kind of got played. They kind of got screwed. I'll explain why I feel that way and how this kind of sucks. And how it's AT&T's fault. And no, it's not speculation and conjecture. And it's not, conspiracy theory. These things line up right next to each other, And it sucks because it's only going to impact T-Mobile customers. It's not... it doesn't have to hurt T-Mobile. It's more about the people using the service. Anyways, we're ready to start this thing. Let's frickin' do this, man. Let's go. All right, first story. We are up. FierceWireless.com. After the show, I'll go ahead and put these in the show notes so you guys can access these articles if you want to give them a read later. And you guys can refer to these. All right, Twitter's Elon Musk threatens to make a smartphone alternative. Okay. When I first read the story, I was like, oh, cool, man. Somebody's inspired to do something different. So I support it in that respect. Twitter's new owner, Elon Musk, said he would create his own smartphone if Apple and Google remove the Twitter app from their app stores due to potential rules violations related to distribution of content. Podcaster Liz Wheeler first proposed the idea of Musk building his own smartphone via Twitter, and he responded saying that he would reluctantly move into the smartphone business if Twitter was removed from the app stores. However, Musk is likely more focused on revamping Twitter's business model and platform than he is on developing a new smartphone. All right, so the way that this is structured, it was actually to a question about Twitter distribution, and if companies like Google and Apple weren't playing nicely with Twitter or vice versa, like if things went sour, that he's basically saying, I'm willing to create a phone and an operating system platform to where I won't need yours, and I can push my situations, like my businesses, my apps, that sort of thing. You know, Musk, with the purchase of Twitter, has become quite a powerful agent within social media now. He basically runs Twitter. I mean, think about the top 5 social media applications, right? You know, you got Instagram, you got WhatsApp, you got Facebook, you know, messengers, and, you know, you got TikTok and Snapchat. These are, you know, billions of users, you know, that are using all these services. Being in on that is in his interest. You know, if he can't be in that arena, he's like, man, I'm willing to make my own phone and possibly operating system, you know. I think about him making an actual phone because of his app, I think it's kind of stupid. I think it's kind of childish. But he's basically saying, I'll do whatever it takes to make my situation work. You know what I mean? I think that's really what it is. Would his phone be good? Would his platform be good? Would his operating system be good? That's all wild card stuff. I mean, nobody else is able to do it. Nobody's able to crack, you know, the Android lock-in, you know, like the, you know, Google and Gmail and all that, and the Google Play Store. Nobody's able to crack the Apple Store. This is a bunch of huffing and puffing. You know, would he even make a dent in their market share? You know, would he even make a ripple or a wave? Probably not. But you know, I just think it's interesting that he was willing to stick his neck out. But he's like known to do this, say things, do things, cause up a stir. How close is he to making a smartphone? Like 10 planets away. It's not even like close to happening. It's not a remote possibility. It's not even on anyone's radar. So let's put it out there. This is not likely to happen. It's not going to happen. But, you know, that's what Elon does, you know. So, but hypothetically, when I look at the poll, the way we got it, we got 55 votes. I want to thank you guys for voting. If you haven't voted yet, go ahead and do that. Get your votes in. Elon Musk and Twitter, a potential phone operating system situation. What do you guys think of that? Count me out, or count me in, or we need another competitor, or Elon is slimy and less of him is better. All right, now, first of all, I would like to say count me in. Only because I think, you know, I would like the concept of another option. So maybe I kind of like we need another competitor at the end of things. But Elon is a slime ball. He's as disingenuous as they come. You know, he's really not a great speaker. He's not very charming, you know, and that's has nothing to do with him as a businessman. It has nothing to do with him, you know, as somebody who stirs up the pot and creates controversy. But I don't fall into the traps, you know, like he sets traps on Twitter. It gets people riled up and gets people talking about him. This is just one of those things, you know. I would like to see Windows Phone make a comeback. I would like to see BlackBerry make a comeback. I would like to see something other than the Google Play Store and the iOS, you know, lock-in ecosystem of the App Store. You know, it'd be nice. But he ain't going to be the one to do it. He'll take money from people to try to do it, but he ain't going to do it. All right, so let me go ahead and close out that poll. And then we can see what you guys think. All the voice of the people, the SMT Nation. Let your voice be heard. And there is your vote, folks. There it is. All right, your vote. We got 34% count me out. So you guys aren't too keen on this. But 23% say we need another competitor. That's cool. Count me in at 22%. That's actually pretty close to we need another competitor, so that's cool. And then Elon is slimy. I figured some people would vote that in. Yeah. So there you guys go. Nice job with the vote. Got a decent turnout. Very nice. Let's go ahead and transition to the next story. Yes, good people. We are indeed in 6G territory. Tell a friend to tell a friend. 6G is on deck. Oh my god. You guys remember when 5G launched back in what was that, 2019 or something? We're already talking about 6G. So apparently 5G's for nothing. We got to talk about 6G. My god. Why, Ricky? Why do you want me to stop it? Should I just shut down the live stream? You don't want me to do this, bro? All right, Ricky. I'll shut down the live stream. You could, okay, man. You know, I'll just discontinue the show. I'll stop the live stream, bro. You got it. I don't need to, I don't mean to disrupt your cause disequilibrium in your mind. Yeah. All right. Some of the world's biggest 5G equipment suppliers have begun putting the so-called centimetric spectrum bands, those between 7 gigahertz and 20 gigahertz, at the center of their pitches for 6G. All right, let's look at these frequencies here. All right, 7 gigahertz and 20 gigahertz. That is technically microwave, millimeter wave. Okay. We're using millimeter wave for 5G now. That would be 24 to 39 gigahertz. All right, so you got N260, which is 39 gigahertz. You got N261, which I think is 28. And then, what is 24 gigahertz? I don't even remember. Is it N258 or something? I don't even know. All right, now, most of the time when you hear 6G, people start mentioning these things called terahertz. And that's when you start moving into the hundreds, 1,000 gigahertz range. I can't even wrap my mind around that. Oh yeah, and big shout out to Anwar. He says, let's skip 6G and move on to 7G. Damn, son. All right, so spectrum within the 7 to 20 gigahertz range is essential to realize the capacity demanding use cases in the future of 6G networks. This is from an infrastructure vendor at Ericsson. 6G, wow. 10 years from now, we expect new spectrum bands between 7 and 20 gigahertz to open up for 6G, which will provide the necessary bandwidth to create these new high-capacity carriers. At that point, guys, you're going to be seeing a lot of private networks. You're going to be seeing a lot of edge computing going on. You're going to be seeing a lot of really ultra-low latency use cases at that point. So, the stuff that we don't have today that you're going to be seeing 10 years from now, it's going to be happening, one use case at a time over the course of the rest of this decade. The focus on the centimetric bands is serendipitous, according to Jessica Rosenworcel, the chairwoman of the FCC, the agency in charge of managing this spectrum. Recently, she said she's eyeing the 12.7 gigahertz to 13.25 gigahertz spectrum band as a possible location for the agency's next big spectrum push. All right, now, you know what you could do with this frequency? You could use this frequency for home internet. Run some really high capacity fiber. Go ahead and give the fine folks in rural America some millimeter wave 5G home internet. Get some really solid 3GPP standards based equipment up for them. Get people to install, own, and operate high capacity fiber for this type of use case. I think that's where that spectrum belongs. But yeah, 5G use cases or 6G use cases obviously as well. But I think home internet's got to become the thing that everybody has. I still to this day can't understand how we're talking about 6G, and we still have people on DSL on their home internet. You know, we still got people that are stuck using Viasat and all these junk satellite providers. We need better terrestrial service. Why don't we do that? Just wear a tinfoil hat and you'll be fine. Nice, Josh. All right, terahertz as complementary. All right, so 7 to 20 gigahertz for 6G represents a shift from earlier 6G speculation that focused on terahertz bands above 90 gigahertz. Yeah, maybe that was a little premature. Inevitable? Sure, but when? You know, are we talking 10 years from now? Are we talking 15 years from now? 100 gigahertz to 10 terahertz seems really, really high capacity, right? You're going to have some ultra-wide channels, but, like, we ain't there, you know? The kind of performance in the terahertz bands isn't a surprise. Signal travels farther in lower bands due to physics. Higher bands, like the millimeter wave bands or the terahertz bands, are alluring because they are relatively vacant, can handle massive amounts of data. Yeah, because you got, like, 1,000 megahertz channels. You know, you put a fiber circuit to it, a 50 gig, 100 gigs fiber circuit to these terahertz, you know, you got capacity for days. You could probably send over an entire, you know, Netflix series in like 2 minutes. Like 1,000 people at the same time. All right, terahertz range 92 to 300 gigahertz. Sheesh, man, so high. Our learnings from 5G are that the millimeter wave range is a powerful spectrum range, which allows operators to provide value to industry and enterprise through high data rates. However, due to the limited coverage, serves as a complement to other ranges that can be used in wider areas, but with limited data rates. Okay, so they know what we know, right? Millimeter wave has limited range, but it offers great capacity. The mid-band frequencies, better range, indoor propagation, right, but limited capacity. So I think what we're starting to see, though, is I think people are starting to understand that millimeter wave is better than what we initially thought. Like, everybody initially thought these frequencies are too high, they can't carry enough of a range, they can't propagate. Well, they're finding out that they're actually better at those things than we first thought. So it's not as bad as we initially thought, right? I get millimeter wave inside the bakery. You got people picking it up for their home internet from Verizon. You know, companies are starting to kind of look at it to offload traffic. Even T-Mobile has started to talk about offloading, you know, and working with their home internet product with millimeter wave. Unwanted with the super chat says, will 6G mutate me without a tinfoil hat? You're going to have to wear a tinfoil hat, sir. You're going to have to. Especially with the cell towers that look like pine trees. Make sure you're wearing that tinfoil hat. Yeah, so I'm a big proponent of millimeter wave becoming more meaningful from a build-out standpoint with the carriers. And, you know, it doesn't matter to me, you know. No, Josh, it's true. That is true. The water bottle situation at the bakery, that is absolutely true. But 3 gig to 1 gig, you know, I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take sips of the water and get the 3 gig. I put it down, I'll get the 1 gig. Count me in, you know. Oh, man. Awesome. Fantastic. I can't believe you're talking about 6G. These people are crazy. All right, next story. And this actually, I think, is a little bit more meaningful. Now is the time to take 5G indoors. Folks, it's time. It's December 2nd, 2022. All this talk about 5G and coverage. There's going to come a point where we got to get 5G indoors, and we got to get it in there with effective performance, capacity, and quality connectivity. So I'm not just talking about, like, you know, you're picking up the signal. No, you need a good quality signal, you know, good quality SINAR, RSRP, the whole shebang. Homes are a little bit easier to do than some buildings, but there are some buildings that are going to have a hard time with 5G, and they're going to need a boost. All right, so operators have made huge investments in 5G RAN, can now provide excellent outdoor performance. But while mid-band spectrum with massive MIMO provides some indoor coverage, there's still a need for dedicated in-building 5G systems. Indoor 5G coverage at venues, offices, airports, arenas is imperative. 5G has set a new performance benchmark and raised customer expectations in all locations. Better indoor service is important not just for operators and customers, but for the venue owners. In the medium term, 5G IoT, the Internet of Things, is emerging in several indoor scenarios, including private networks. All right, let's talk spectrum here. All right, when it comes to 5G, I really don't care about low band. I view low band as an LTE technology. I view them as LTE frequencies. When you're talking 5G, the game is densification, and the game is small cells and CRAN and DAS. I'm not really interested in low band frequencies. I'm sorry if I offend you. I know people get their panties in a bunch whenever I shoot down low band. It's fine. It's good for calling. Cool. You know what I mean? Coverage out in the middle of the boonies. Okay. But when we're talking about the densification and a true 5G dense network, you need MIMO, right? And you're doing that on the mid-band, and you're doing it on millimeter wave, right? That's how that's going to work. The trouble with those mid-band frequencies as they start to creep up into the 3 gigahertz and better is the propagation indoors gets a little rough, right? So that's where the indoor situation comes into play. And when you're indoors, the fear about like walls and obstructions is not an issue anymore. So millimeter wave becomes a major player because the signal is just going to bounce all over the place anyways. Essentially, higher frequency Wi-Fi, right? It's indoors, so the user equipment is near the operator equipment, right? You're putting access points, you're putting antennas. The signal is not going to be the issue. You're indoors, right? It's even being contained in a way. It's not even leaking outside all that much. But enterprises are going to look into this. Venues are going to look into this. They're all going to be going in big with this. I mean, heck, even T-Mobile just signed a contract with an MGM, venue about indoor DAS and outdoor DAS. All right, now some of the same technologies we've been using, those are going to continue to be, leveraged here. All right, so you got the DAS system, okay, distributed antenna systems. That's going to be a thing. All right, now they're going to have to be upgraded for all the ones that are existing. So if you got existing LTE DAS, those are going to have to be upgraded to 5G and our new radio technology, new hardware. Those new hardware, like the radios and the antennas, all that's going to be compatible with new frequencies. So you can get the things like, C-band and, DOD and, don't forget about the millimeter wave, right? The N260s, the N261. Hell, I mean, there's even a 47 gigahertz that I think T-Mobile and Dish own. Those come into play with the DAS. In building small cells, we have already seen Samsung starting to push the small cell story with their equipment. We've already started to see what those pieces of hardware look like. So that's exciting, right? Now you're going to have to get some really high quality, high capacity fiber, right? You're talking about, multi-gig circuits, but hey, large venues, they can front the bill. Hey, it's your network, right? Because what's going to end up happening is you're going to have all these people going into these venues. When you come in from outdoor and you start going into these rooms and you start going into these halls and you start going into like hotel rooms and lobbies, each new barrier represents an RF challenge. Moving from mid-band to low-band, right? Especially if the nearby macro is a half a mile or a mile away. The indoor DAS is going to be crucial in those situations. And when you have hundreds, if not thousands of people at venues, I think of hotels with this too. An indoor system or systems, right, with multiple solutions makes a lot of sense. Like a small cell that's very, very close in proximity to that hotel makes a lot of sense. Like one parking lot away or something within that close distance, and then go ahead and throw in the indoor DAS. I think you have yourself a solution. All frequencies on it. Low band, mid band, millimeter wave, the whole shebang. make it as bulletproof as you can. And because you've got that indoor solution, the RF, the interference, the SINAR, all that stuff can be easily mitigated. It can be managed. The show's got to go indoors, folks. All right, here's some other interesting stuff in this article. The private enterprise sector, right? Private networks, DAS, all these things. We're looking at this option, multi-carrier neutral host. This basically means the venue operator could probably contract some hardware company to come in and install a bunch of radios and antennas, right? Plug in all of that fiber, and then basically T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, Dish can sign on to broadcast their licenses from that neutral host radio access network gear. So whether it's public or private, for you, the customer, this sounds really nice. So I could go to the, to the Holiday Inn for some, I don't know, what are they doing over there? And there's the one that's downtown at the convention center. They have all types of events. I used to drive for Uber, and I remember taking tons of people to and from that convention center. Thousands of people in the convention center. A multi-carrier neutral host radio access network would be sweet. Vivian brings up the point. N263 60 gigahertz, that's unlicensed millimeter wave. Neutral host millimeter wave would be huge. And you just got to make sure that your phone has that band and you could pick it up. That would be sweet. All right, single carrier installations. This would be like Verizon coming in and installing their gear. Right, so that's completely up to the carrier. That's going to depend on a lot of factors. What type of license spectrum they have there. What type of equipment are available to them. The usage in that particular location. Maybe it's like a frequent, location where a lot of their customers are taxing the network getting on these sites. And then you have the public and private access options. So indoor 5G is the next logical step to support greater capacity, user experience, and true 5G use cases over the entire network. Now is the time for venues and enterprises to work together with operators to ensure the delivery of indoor 5G coverage on a sustainable long-term basis. Because, guys, I'm getting C-band in my house. I'm getting C-band at work. I'm getting N41 in my house. I'm getting N41 sometimes at work. The days of like worrying about mid-band getting into homes, that's not the trouble. The thing is going to be when you get into these really big venues with these really tough building materials, the rebar, the concrete, the very dense material, right? That's going to be the challenge. You're going to have to do DAS. You're going to have to do those indoor options with small cells and things like that. The nice thing is each of the carriers has different solutions with different vendors. Nokia will be in play. Samsung will be in play. Ericsson will be in play. And there's other players too. And the installers and the contractors, everybody's going to make some money on this. Everybody's going to be busy. Vivian says mid-band is the new low-band and a millimeter wave is the new mid-band. It's something I've been saying for a while. I just don't think about low-band anymore. Like, if I'm on low-band for a call, that's nice, I just don't. I don't think about band 13. I don't think about band 5. I don't think about band 12 and band 71. It just doesn't mean anything to me. Those channels are skinny. They don't offer much bandwidth and throughput. They don't really do anything for me. And I guess if I was out in the boonies, if I was in the middle of Boone's Farm and I had to make a call and I was on low band, it wouldn't bother me too much. But I just don't think about low band anymore. My mind is on millimeter wave, and my mind is on carrier aggregation of higher frequency mid-band channels that are wider. Vivian says people are coming to expect mid-band everywhere in millimeter wave and hotspots. That's how it used to be with low band and mid-band, respectively. Remember when band 4 was only in the most crowded spots? That's true. And if you guys remember the Clearwire days with the 2.5 gigahertz spectrum, it was the same situation. Dr. John Saw spoke about that. He said there's going to come a point where, these low band frequencies won't cut it. Our networks are going to be dense enough where the mid band is going to carry the mail. And he was right. And he is right. It's for handoffs. That's what I always say. The low band is for handoffs for a not so dense network, and carriers should not be relying on low band to do much. They should be, they already squeezed all the life out of low band. They bought that spectrum years ago, and they've been carrying data on those channels for a long time. It's really time for the mid band and the millimeter wave channels to do all the lifting. All right, transitioning over to the next story. All right, this one is from Boost Mobile. Dish owned Boost Mobile. They have ramped up their offerings. You can now find Boost Mobile at 7-Eleven stores, and you can see them nationwide. So the next time you guys are going for a big gulp, get yourself some Boost Mobile. Get yourself one of those corn dogs and those hot dogs. Get a bag of cheese nips. Get yourself a Gatorade or a Natty Ice or whatever you're doing. I don't condone that behavior. Get a Gatorade or a hot chocolate or something. All right, 7-Eleven has long been a Boost Mobile partner from a prepaid top-up perspective, where customers can walk into a store, buy top-up cards, and pay bills. But now Boost is eyeing 7-Eleven stores for the ability to acquire new customers. Starting this month, new and existing Boost Mobile customers can purchase SIM kits to start and activate service, as well as reboost cards to stay connected. All right, the SVP at Boost Mobile, Rob Hussa. We are expanding the relationship to focus more on acquisitions. We do a lot of transactions with 7-Eleven currently for top-up. So that means, the customers at Boost that know and have Boost, they typically go into 7-Eleven and re-up. But now they're basically saying we want to acquire new customers through this channel. It's a full rollout starting today, which is at the time, I think this was December 1st. Thousands of 7-Eleven stores across the country, at least 7,500, as many as 8,500. It will take 4 to 6 weeks to cover all the doors. All right, so they're going to be dressing up with branding all over the glass, all over the windows. They'll probably start putting up displays. SIM kits are aimed at folks who want to bring their own device, or BYOD. The package, which is basically a small sleeve that fits on a peg, includes clear instructions about how to activate it or initiate a port. All right, so they got a history. 7-Eleven in the wireless market, according to Jeff Moore, principal at Wave 7 Research. He says that MVNO brands for prepaid wireless have launched in the convenience store back in 2003 in April. Later expanded to Canada, still offered today in the U.S., however, went out of business, speaking about 7-Eleven's Speak Out Wireless. And they went out of business in 2010. So there is wireless history at 7-Eleven. So since then, since 2010, it's been mostly about top-up cards, right? So, getting the brand that you already have. According to Jeff, he also noted, for wireless sales, you kind of need to have people who really understand wireless due to the complexities of activation networks and so forth. That's true. You can't have just anybody there. You guys see what happened with like Metro and T-Mobile at like Walmart's. There's never anybody knowledgeable there to help you with activations. Sometimes there's nobody there to do activations. And then if you have problems with your port, like they don't know who to call or what to do or how to fix, and then you end up having to call T-Mobile corporate anyway, trying to find a channel of service. He went on to say if they can somehow make this very user-friendly, then maybe this can be an additional path for distribution for Boost Mobile. But based on 7-Eleven's history, I'm a skeptic, according to Jeff Moore. Jeff's pretty in tune with the prepaid market. If he's skeptical, I am too. Hussa said that they're trying to make the SIM kit an easy way for someone who wants to get started on Boost Mobile. They see 7-Eleven as a good fit. It's a great way for us to expand our distribution footprint from an acquisition standpoint. I don't know, guys. Do you think that 7-Eleven is the way for Boost Mobile? I would have never thought in a million years that this was going to be their next frontier. Like, if I was trying to do something unique and different and special and game-changing, yeah, I'm taking Boost Mobile to 7-Eleven. Never. How could that be that much of a difference maker? I don't even know. I doubt they're going to be growing out of 7-Eleven. Boost Mobile has had a trouble for the last couple of years, dating back to the merger clearance and back in like August of 2 years ago. They've lost a lot of customers. I don't see the 7-Eleven stores being a difference maker. What up, Big Mike? Good to see you, bro. I don't know. You guys can comment if you think, Boost Mobile's going to do something there. I just don't see it. All right, last story of the night. RFK Tech says, I don't trust MVNO except for Los Mobile. Stay thirsty, my friends. All right, this story is out of Fierce. Monica Alvin, December 2nd. That's today at the time of this broadcast. FCC grants first batch of 2.5 gigahertz licenses minus T-Mobile. I'm not liking the sounds of this. The FCC granted the first batch of county-based overlay licenses from the 2.5 gigahertz auction, but T-Mobile was not among them. The FCC said it granted 51 of the 68 total long-form applications received from winning bidders in Auction 108, following what it called a thorough review of applications and a period of public comment. Of the 51 applications granted, 15 obtained small business bidding credits, 23 rural service provider bidding credits. Staff review of the remaining Auction 108 long-form applications remains ongoing. So they are still reviewing the others. That's notable because T-Mobile won the vast majority of the licenses in the 2.5 gigahertz auction, 108, and it's nowhere to be found in Thursday's public notice. T-Mobile spent over $300 million to buy over 7,100 licenses in the auction. Asked for comment, the FCC did not say why T-Mobile wasn't included, but they pointed out that the staff review remains ongoing. T-Mobile did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Last month, AT&T filed a petition asking the FCC to deny T-Mobile's long-form application from the 2.5 gigahertz auction or condition its grant on T-Mobile's divestiture of sufficient mid-band spectrum to avoid harm to competition and the public interest. AT&T filed a complaint basically saying T-Mobile has way too much mid-band spectrum and it's going to cause harm in the marketplace and in the industry. They do have a lot of spectrum. They basically have enough mid-band spectrum for two companies because they have all their spectrum plus Sprint's spectrum plus in the last 3 auctions they've been active. Here's my take on that. T-Mobile, if the FCC and the carriers, the competitors, had a problem with T-Mobile, they should have worked hard to keep them from getting involved in the C-band auctions. But they didn't. Neither the FCC, nor AT&T, nor Verizon, nor Dish, or anyone wanted to keep T-Mobile out of that auction. At least not publicly, not vocally. Nobody said anything. Now AT&T is coming out of the woodwork saying, FCC, you need to consider this. T-Mobile is getting too big in spectrum. We need to stop this. And specifically, we're talking about Spectrum 108 or Spectrum Auction 108 for these white license spectrum holdings. This is not even like major. It's filling in spaces across the country where T-Mobile might only have like 20 or 30 or 40 megahertz of N41. And with those white space licenses that nobody owned, they might be able to get their hands to widen the channel to like 80 or 100 megahertz. AT&T filing that petition last month, and now we have this. So a lot of people are speculating, including me, that it was clearly a strategy by AT&T to try to get the FCC to pump the brakes on them clearing and giving the access licenses to T-Mobile right away. Now, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think this means T-Mobile's going to lose the spectrum. I really don't. I'm not going to sit here and say that they're going to keep it away from them. It might be delayed a little bit, but T-Mobile's not going to lose any spectrum, folks. They haven't done anything illegal. They haven't done anything wrong. They put in their application to go to these auctions, and they bid on spectrum and they won it fair and square. They didn't steal it. They didn't break the law. They didn't, not follow guidelines. They did the same thing that AT&T could have did. They did the same thing that Verizon could have done. But neither of them really did anything with the spectrum. I think Verizon got some licenses in like 8 or 9 places, random places in the middle of nowhere. And I don't know if that means they got stuck with it. I don't know if it means they want to sell it to T-Mobile. I don't know if they're going to hang radios and antennas for it. I don't know. But if these people did not want T-Mobile to get this, why the hell didn't they bid on it? I don't like T-Mobile as a company when it comes to the corporate side of things. I don't like Verizon or AT&T when it comes to the corporate side of things. They screw customers, they screw people, they screw the hardworking American. I'm not here to protect carriers. But you tell me, what the hell did T-Mobile actually do wrong? They got a merger cleared that was regulated. I mean, if they broke merger promises, why isn't AT&T citing that? They could say, look, they firing all these people. They said they were going to protect jobs and be jobs positive. Why don't they cite things like that, or the store closings, or laying off 2,000 engineers? Why aren't they citing that type of stuff that's actually harmful to people? They're just saying, oh, they got too much spectrum. Who cares? They're building a capacitive network. They're putting the spectrum on air. They're doing fixed wireless access. They're giving people home internet where T-Mobile is willing to do it and AT&T isn't. Let's call a spade here. There's a lot of places around this country where AT&T hasn't done a damn thing for at least 30 years. They maybe have not expanded. They just stopped. They're doing fiber 10 miles that way. They're not, reinvesting into their DSL, obviously. The DSL stopped growing, right? Where it doesn't give them the ROI that they want, they just bail. In my opinion, AT&T is the enemy here for this filing of this petition. No, I don't think this is conjecture or speculation. I do think this is all part of it. Like, damn, T-Mobile's actually doing something with the spectrum and you're trying to stop it. You're only harming the consumer. AT&T is not harming T-Mobile alone. They're harming the T-Mobile customers, or the potential T-Mobile customers who want to get the T-Mobile home internet. Because when these channels widen, folks, people can get the T-Mobile home internet. You can't serve T-Mobile home internet on a 40 megahertz channel. You can serve it with an 80 or a 100 or a 120 megahertz holdings. Oh, and that's true, MS. What did they do in Mississippi? They had to get audited so they could finish building the network that they said they were going to build. I feel you, bro. AT&T, which didn't compete in the auction, said T-Mobile already owns too much mid-band spectrum. That creates a major imbalance in mid-band assets needed for effective competition in the long term. AT&T was the company that basically just swallowed and gobbled up like 100 companies between 1900 and 2000. Under the Communications Act, the FCC can grant T-Mobile's long-form application and unconditionally grant T-Mobile even more spectrum rights with no corresponding divestitures unless it finds that doing so would promote the public interest, according to AT&T. T-Mobile said AT&T's request boils down to an attempt to rewrite the rules for an auction that already occurred. T-Mobile also called it a delay tactic to prevent T-Mobile from deploying 2.5 gigahertz spectrum for its new home internet service, particularly in rural areas where T-Mobile is competing more aggressively than ever against AT&T. This is all fact. Again, I don't like companies. I don't like corporations. But there's no lies in this. There is no cap. T-Mobile is correct in this. AT&T is just being a hater. It's just a corporate tactic. They're just trying to slow down T-Mobile. And I speculated on my video earlier that it might be because, like, they're trying to delay T-Mobile. Maybe that means they want to come in and install fiber and they're just trying to buy time. Or maybe they're just trying to prevent it from happening. They just want to slow them down and get in their way. Or maybe they have DSL customers there, and they know that the DSL customers can get more than 50 megabits down and 2 megabits up. T-Mobile will give them 100 or 200 megabits down, and 30 megabits up. So again, I just think it's going to slow down T-Mobile. I don't think it's going to jeopardize, them getting the spectrum. I just think it's a matter of time. Maybe not right away. It's just going to take some time for clearance. So it might just be like a technicality. The review process, and then they just permit it, and then it's done and over with, and this is a thing of the past. AT&T doesn't have a leg to stand on. T-Mobile's going to put the spectrum to good use. They're building out a 5G network that's going to reach a lot of people, and it's going to help a lot of people. And the FCC is going to stand with that. They're not going to stand against T-Mobile. Now, what the FCC should probably look at is legitimizing the spectrum screen rules. Where up-and-coming auctions, because T-Mobile does have a lot of spectrum, maybe you make them sit one out, right? If you really want to, bring competition to the market, can you facilitate something for Dish? But Dish is a messed up story because Dish is not doing anything in retail. Dish has to obviously build a huge network, but I think that's where, Dish comes into play. And we all saw what happened with Dish and T-Mobile, and what a mess. Me personally, I think they should be network partners. Like, they should be building together, my opinion. Dish should build where T-Mobile isn't. They should be combining their capital. And everybody says that like AT&T and Dish make the most sense as a merger. I actually think Dish and T-Mobile make the most sense as a merger. 600 megahertz, AWS, CBRS. It just makes more sense. AT&T can shove it. They can go to hell. And I don't feel bad for AT&T. I never will. After the things that company has done over the last 120, 140 years, they can go to hell. Nobody's as rotten as AT&T. Nobody as criminal as AT&T. Straight up corporate criminals. Their history is marred. It's in their DNA to be straight up thieves. And no billing is as much a nightmare as AT&T. Them's the facts, and I don't give a damn. I'm not here to protect T-Mobile. I'm not here to protect Verizon or AT&T. They can all go to hell. I represent the consumer. I'm a consumer advocate. They can all go to hell. Power to the people. I wish everybody the best connectivity options, the best pricing, the best plans, the best access, high quality networking. All the other stuff is here today and gone tomorrow. They can go to hell. That's right, Ricky. That's right. Let's close out the show. I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. You guys are absolutely the best. If it is your first time here, become a member of the SMT Nation. Hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell notification icon. Select all so you never miss an upload and you get notified when we go live. Want to take your SMT Nation access and involvement to the next level? Support us on Patreon. There's a link in the description. You can also become a YouTube member, right? You could do this on your desktop, or you can do it on the Android app, where, you go to my channel name. It'll give you the option to join. Different levels of membership where you can get unique access and early access content and exclusives and stuff like that, and you're supporting your favorite creators. So big shout outs to the YouTube members and also the Patreon supporters. Thank you guys for all that you do. Let's wrap up the show, folks. Thank you for being a part of the SMT community. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thanks for all the support. We appreciate everything that you do. Your favorite hashtag, go ahead and put it in there. Hashtag 2LiveCrew. I like that one. Hashtag Replay Crew. I love you guys for watching this after. Hashtag Ravioli Gang for those of you eating dinner while listening to this or watching this. And then hashtag Mod Squad. My moderators, can't forget about you guys. You guys are the goats too. Thank you for watching this edition of the podcast. We hope to see you soon on the next show. Peace.